Today's episode is brought to you by...
Hi, I'm Jeff Goulding and I'm a Liverpool author.
And I'm Kieran Smith, the Liverpool historian.
Together, we've been working on a book entitled The Untouchables, Anfield's Band of Brothers.
It's a great story about one of the greatest sides in Liverpool's history who won back-to-back titles in the 1920s.
Yeah, this is a team that is absolutely packed with incredible characters. Men who fought on the battlefields of Europe in the First World War and returned home to claim 2 league titles in a row.
And it's due for release in the UK in September. And thanks to our friendship, the Liverpool Connection podcast, it's also going to be made available through them in the United States.
Welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. I am your host, Dazza. Steve is out and about working today, so he couldn't make it. A couple of things. Please subscribe and like. We always like people that enjoy the show. It's just great to get good feedback and makes it worthwhile. You can also get at us on Twitter at ATX Reds Podcast, our Facebook group, ATX Reds Podcast, the YouTube channel, the Liverpool Connection Podcast, and our website, atxreds.com, which has tons of articles written by some amazing writers. Now, this next one, we will be giving away, we're doing a competition in the next month, and we'll be giving away quite a few number of books. This one was written by 2 of my good mates, Jeff Goulding and Kieran Smith, and it is absolutely amazing. It's The Untouchables, Anfield's Band of Brothers. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll actually see the book, and it goes into such detail. They did hours and hours upon hours of research. You can get it at pitchpublishing.co.uk. Amazon, they just, I think, sold out. So hopefully they'll restock it very soon. But all good bookstores, you'll be able to get it. Now, I am very privileged to have this next special guest, because the reason we do this podcast is to bring on guests to tell stories about this amazing football club. And a lot of the younger generation don't know anything past like 2005, the Champions League. So we like to bring on people that know a bit more and can tell great stories. And who better to tell some great stories today? They call him the Anfield's Lucky Charm, and he's becoming a bit of a legend himself. The Liverpool Connection welcomes Alan Edwards. Hi, Alan. I'm so happy to have you on.
It's a privilege for me to be on.
I've been talking with your son Keith back and forth for a while, and he's kind of clued me in on some of the stories that I defo want to hear. This episode could turn into part 2, so we will probably have you back. I want to start out by asking you, how was it like growing up as a young kid in Liverpool?
Without the football?
Yeah, without the football at first.
It was great because we used to play football in I come from Granby Street, Harrowby Street in the South End, and we used to play football with a tennis ball. And my mate, he emigrated to South Africa and he come back again. And I still see him now every Sunday night in the club in Old Swan. And he used to say, if football was played with a tennis ball, Alan Edwards would be in the world team. Well, when I done my national service, I was in the same camp as Bobby Charlton.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He was fantastic. And we went through Radio Merseyside. We went to Old Trafford once. A friend of mine got 2 tickets. And we went to Old Trafford in a coach from Liverpool Football Club and went there. And when Jonathan Ledyard, who was the reporter, one of the friends of mine on the bus told him I was in the army with Bobby Charlton. And he rung Old Trafford up and tried to, but he was away and he was out of town on a meeting. It would have been great to have seen him again. Mm-hmm. It was round about the Munich air disaster, and we never seen that much of them. But when the camp team had an important cup match or an important, because the colonel who was the head of the camp, they placed a lot of importance on winning a football match against the other teams, and they used to bring Bobby Charlton back in just for the important games. And I was in the team, and I used to get dropped when because there was 2 or 3 professionals in the team every time they had an important game. But you couldn't argue with them because they'd win the game 7-1 and Charlton would score 4 goals.
Of course he would. That's a bit cheating, though, isn't it?
Well, they placed that much importance on it, these officers, and it was a stripe on the shoulder for beating the team. And the other colonel, they'd be friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always nice to put one over on your friend.
So were you, because, you know, for me growing up back there as well, I'm sure it was the same, you know, you'd play footy in the street.
Oh, yes. You
know, smash a few windows.
Smash the windows, leg it. And one of my friends who ended up living with me, I called him my stepbrother. He's dead now, John Casey. He had a iron on his leg. One leg was short than the other. So he was the one who always got caught. Police come.
Yeah, I smashed my neighbour's window and blamed it on one of my other mates, and he got a right spanking. Yeah, better him than me though. So
you used to get prosecuted for playing football in the street, and the policeman would be on the beat, and he would come along. And I remember he caught me, and I got prosecuted. I think it was a £3 or £4 fine. Oh. And my dad, when he knocked on the door, they had to deliver the prosecution to the house. And when he knocked on the door, and my dad told him to get off the step, you're on private property, don't stand on the step. And he was good. And when the policeman went, he cuffed me one round the ear, all that took me, you know. He said, "That's for getting caught."
Yeah, that's dad's for you. You know, you get the slap around the head. I got a few back then. So when was your first Anfield match?
Well, I can't remember the exact match, but I used to go in the boys' pen, which is now the Kemlyn Road stand, the Sir Kenny Dalglish stand. And that was in 1954-52, 52-53 season. And we got relegated that season.
Yeah, you know, not so good times back then.
No.
And you followed the team, didn't you?
I followed the team all over the place, yeah.
Yeah, when we're in the old second division, for all those youngsters, there was, you know, divisions before the Premier League.
Yeah, right. There was a Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 North, and Division 3 South.
Yeah.
So you didn't have the expense of travelling down south for the football game.
So how was it going back then to us Liverpool? You know, because obviously they weren't winning, you know, the trophies that they won in the 70s and 80s. I mean, that's when you know you're a true supporter, you know, win, lose or draw.
Most kids went along with the team that the dads supported because the dads took them to the match. As I was just going to say, my dad took me to the match and stood me in the boys' pen where the Kemlyn Road stand is now. And he used to get a pass out and go to the Arkles pub for 2 pints and then come back in and make sure I was all right and go and stand on the cop. And if they lost the toss, they would kick into the cop in the first half, as they did yesterday against Manchester City. Whoever won the toss would always make Liverpool kick into the Anfield Road end in the second half, as the cop would get it up for the game. And he used to come in and then he would walk around. They used to swap positions. The away supporters would walk to the cop and the copites would walk to the Anfield Road end if the team were kicking into the Anfield Road end in the second half. So he would check on me then again when he went past.
At least he only had a few pints.
Yeah, he only had 2 pints, yeah.
Yeah, it's like my granddad. He took me when I was 6 and he had me on the shoulders in the cop, and every time like he'd go, you know, for a pint or he needed to go wee, he'd just pass me to somebody else. I mean, you couldn't do that now, you know.
No, you couldn't do it. No. they stand up on the cop now, don't they? They don't sit down.
Yeah, but
my son Carl went a few weeks ago. We got a ticket for the cop, and he said to me, "I was knackered, Dad, of standing up all through the game." They don't sit down in the cop.
Nah, you got to stand. You know, I miss those days. Hopefully, you know, with the safe standing that they're going to try and do in the next year or two, we'll get back to that. But definitely want to talk about you know, the late great Bill Shankly, and I mean, for me, you know, my granddad used to tell me stories about Bill, and he'd waffle on about Bill, and you know, me being a youngster, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But now, you know, I really want to hear these stories, and you got to chat to him.
Well, I was a building contractor when I was working, and I don't know if you know, Alderey Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be I call it a bacon butty cafe. Used to be, and we used to go in there, and Bill Shankly had just retired, and he used to come in with his 2 granddaughters and his wife, and he'd come in a couple of days a week. We used to go there for our lunch, and he'd come in, and he'd order his food for his wife and his 2 granddaughters and himself. Then he'd bring his plate over to our table and sit there talking football with us all dinner time. We used to have the longest hour for our dinner then. We were talking to him, and we finished the job we were doing, and we never went back to the cafe. And about 2 years later, I was doing another job in Old Swan. I had to paint these 2 windows, and the woman, I always remember this, the woman owed me £2,000 off the bill, off the final payment, and she wouldn't give it me until I painted these 2 windows. So I was waiting, and it was lashing down with rain. And I thought to myself, I'll go to the bank and see if I can go over my overdraft, see what they say. So I walked down the road. It was Greenfield Road in Old Swan, and he stepped out of his car. And I can see him now. He had a bright red V-neck sweater on, red polo neck, black pants, which you could have cut your finger on, there's crease in them. And his shoes was polished, highly polished shoes. I always say you could have got a shave in his shoes to like a minute. And he said to me, "I haven't seen you in a cafe lately, son." And that was 2 years after I'd been in the cafe with him. And I lived in Old Swan then. I legged it home. And my wife used to do a bit of hairdressing, and I'd run into the front room and said, he knew me. I was just over the moon that he recognised me after 2 years.
He's just, you know, from what my granddad said, you know, just an amazing character. You know, he had time for everyone.
Well, he was a man of the people, wasn't he? He was a man of the people.
You know, and Jurgen reminds me of you know, the same way. You know, it's like you could sit down with him and talk to Jurgen for hours. You know, over a pint, and just about not just about football, but about life. You know, he seems to get the city. He seems to get the people.
But he certainly reminds you of Shankly. His enthusiasm for the game reminds you of Shankly.
Oh yeah.
He actually when I get back to it, when I was in the cafe with him, I read an article by him in a paper, and he happened to say, I forget the footballer's name, but he happened to say he was a good kicker of the ball. And I said to him in the cafe, "What did you mean, Bill? Surely if he's a professional footballer, he's a good kicker of the ball." And he said, no backlift, son, no backlift. Roger Hunt was the best. No backlift. His leg never used to, just, and the ball flew in the net. And he explained this about 10 times. And I think he was a bit put out that I dared to question his authority.
Well,
we went to a hotel, the Tier, it's called, and it's run by some Norwegians right by on the Anfield Road. And we went there. Keith took me, my son, who set this up, and we met his 2 granddaughters then, and they were in awe when I was telling these stories about him, you know, about the cafe. And I said, "You 2 were only 3 and 4 then. You come in the cafe with me." And he was their granddad.
Yeah, it must have been crazy because I've talked to Karen Gill. She's also Shankly's granddaughter. She lives in Greece now, And just some of the stories are just amazing. You know, you just look up to him. He was just, like I said, he was just such a character, and you know, just working class. And I heard one of your favourite footballers is Billy Liddell.
Oh yes. Well, whenever anyone asks me who's the greatest player played for Liverpool, and I always say Billy Liddell, because when you look, Dalglish was great, and he might have been a better player than Billy Liddell. We had world-class players around him. All of it, had Souness, Ian Rush, Mark Lawrence, and all these world-class. And the same in the 60s, we had Keegan and Tosser, and people like that. And with Billy Liddell, he had 10 no marks in the team.
Mm-hmm.
People who, that's when we got relegated, when Billy Liddell was coming to the end of his career. Actually, when I used to see Bobby Charlton in the camp, I used to say to him, the day you're as good as Billy Liddell will be the day to crow. And he used to say to me, my granddad keeps reminding me, he used to play for Liverpool years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he didn't have a statue of him, to be honest.
He played against Middlesbrough in the second division days, and he used to write an article in the Football Echo, in the Pink. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
It was on a Saturday night, the Football Echo, and he used to write an article in it, Billy Liddell, and they had in goal a guy called Ugolini. He was Italian. Very few foreigners in the game then, not like it is now. And he went. Liverpool got a penalty in the Cop end, and Ugolini went out to Billy Liddell, and they spoke to each other. And when he wrote his article the next Saturday, he said, he bet me £5 that I wouldn't score. And he said, being a Scotsman, there was no way I was going to miss.
Well, there's been so many famous Scots, for Liverpool.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always say, when we've got a Scotsman in the team, we win trophies.
Yeah, well, we have Robbo now, so, may it long continue. So what are some of your favourite matches that you've gone to?
Well, I always quote the 1965 Cup final when we first won the FA Cup. Because when I was a youngster, I went to Granby Street School, and I used to get the mickey taken out of me by all the Evertonians. And they used to say, the day you win the FA Cup, the liver birds will fly. You've most probably heard that one before. And they always used to say that. And in 1950, when we played Arsenal in the final, and they beat us 2-0, I went to school on the Monday morning, and they were all waiting for me. And I've got to admit, I cried my eyes out. And when we finished school, I went to All Saints Church in Kingsley Road in the South End, and I said my prayers and said, please God, while I'm alive, let us beat Everton in the FA Cup final at Wembley. So there must be a God, because we beat them in 3 cup finals. Well, that match always sticks in my mind, because we won the FA Cup, and we'd never won it before. And when you see it on the Liverpool channel now, Ian St. John gives a talk on a video, and he actually says in this video, how come a team as good as Liverpool has never won the FA Cup? And you used to think that. When we were in the second division, there's another game that sticks in my mind. Liverpool, we were in the second division, Everton were in the first division, and they had a centre forward called Dave Hickson. Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
No, he was the idol of the fans. He was a blockbusting old style centre forward, threw his head in the way and everything. And he was the hero of Everton. And we played them at Goodison Park in an FA Cup match in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, second division versus first division. Hadn't won an away game all season. This is January when we played. For the first 6 months of the season, we hadn't won one away game. And we played Everton. And I run on the pitch before the game and threw 4 red balloons in the Gladys Street end. when I run off the pitch to go back where I was standing by the wall, and I queued up. I went to the Everton's ground to get a ticket for that match, and I queued up from 1 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock the next Sunday before they started selling the tickets. And I went on a push bike, and it cost you 3p to put the push bike in the shop's backyard. But when I run off the pitch to go and stand with it, the police sergeant grabbed me down the chairs, and he cuffed me right across the ear. And he said to me, if you go on that pitch again, son, I'll throw you out. And I often said, quote this to people, now, like, you'd be claiming thousands of pounds off him for cuffing you down the ear.
You're cheeky little thing back then.
And he beat them 4-0, actually. So the 4 Red Balloons, we beat them 4-0. The first away game we won all season. Got knocked out by Huddersfield Town the next game.
It's always good to beat Everton.
Oh, yeah.
They're a bit bitter.
Only a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. You've been to so many finals. I've only been to, I've been to tons and tons of home and away matches, but finals I've only been to 3. How many finals have you been to?
Oh. Been to all the FA Cup finals, bar one. And all the European Cup finals and the UEFA Cup finals, bar 2. So how many that is? About 10, 12, 14. We took Keith's son, my 7-year-old grandson, we took him to Istanbul. And we won in Istanbul. And the story about that is he was crying his eyes out at half time. And I said to him, stop crying. We are Liverpool. We can still win this. And when we went back to the hotel, we went, me and my other son, we went out for some, because Istanbul's a 24-hour city. Everything's open 24 hours. And we went there to get some food. And when we come back, there was a Welsh chap in the same hotel as us. And he said, I've been talking to your grandson. And he said, that you said at half time we can still win this game. Is that right? I said, I only wanted to stop him crying. I didn't think we could win the game. If you remember that game when Shevchenko hit the ball from about a yard and Dudek tipped it over the bar, I turned around to Keith and said, just relax. They're never going to score.
Yeah, I think once Smeesa, scored the second, it was on. You could tell how it just changed. I think the Milan players, thought the match was over at half time. They got too cocky.
Well, they were kissing the cup, weren't they, when they come on at half time, come on for the second half.
Yeah,
kissing it.
Yeah, but and it must have been amazing to be in that dressing room. Basically, Stevie telling the players let's go out there and
get a bit of pride back.
Yeah, showed up with Liverpool, and then hearing 60, 70,000 Liverpool fans singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Just watching it on the telly, I remember where I was. I think everybody does. Hair stand up, and you just knew after that second goal went in, you're like, we're doing this.
Yeah.
But I mean, it must have been, great to go with your family as well.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. Fantastic.
Like who better, to kind of turn around to.
The airport coming home was just unbelievable. And we got to what we call it, the desk where you hand your tickets in. Mm-hmm. And we were on desk 3. And she said to us, you're on desk 5. So we had to go out the queue and get back in the end of the queue. And when we got to the desk, an airline pilot come and he said, I've got four seats to John Lennon Airport. And I just ducked under the rope and said, you've got no seats to John Lennon Airport. What's 4 are going? And when we went on, there was a crowd on. There was about 10 or 12 people on the plane, and they were going to Luton. But they were quite prepared to go to Liverpool and get a train to Luton. My 2 sons said to me, we're on the wrong plane, we're going to Luton. I said, no, they're going to Luton, we're on the way going to John Lennon. We're all right. But Keith and Carl thought they were going to. Yeah,
it must have been mad coming back from that, because I know the Liverpool squad, basically that right after they flew back pretty much, because I was talking, I've had Neil Mellor on.
Oh yeah.
And he was telling me he couldn't get back home till like 2 days later, so he missed the parade.
That was the only thing that we missed, the parade.
Oh, you missed it?
We missed the parade, yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest regrets I have over football. And the other one, the one final I never went to was Rome. When they first won, I never went to that. Forget the reason. Like, I think I was having trouble with my business. So just.
Well, tell us about 81.
Yeah.
You dressed up, didn't you?
Dressed up as one of the Three Musketeers.
Who was the other two?
They're both dead now. The two friends of mine, three of us went dressed up as the Musketeers. we kissing all the women on the train on the what did he call it? The equivalent to London Underground.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a plastic sword going around and knighting people, and it was brilliant.
Oh, so you didn't get changed there? You just went.
I went dressed like that. I stunk on the way home because a friend of mine worked in a where they made the wrappers for the bread,
mm-hmm.
and they knocked them out in big white sheets. And he made them in red and white. Got them made in big roll of this paper, made in plastic paper, made in red and white, with Allez les rouges on, which is "Come on, you Reds" in French. And he got them made. And where I lived then was a lady down the road, was a tailoress, and she made the suits out of the paper.
Oh wow!
And we just put them on over our existing clothes. You know, it was brilliant. We had photographs of the Echo.
You must have been boiling in them.
Oh, we were boiling. Well, I just caught the train on the way back. I said, I need the toilet. So I went to the toilet, and the train was pulling out the station when I come, and I legged it along and jumped in the last carriage.
Hopefully you got a few free pints just like that.
Yeah. Well, people were buying you beers, and there's an old friend of mine now who's dead. He said one of his things to do in life was to go on the Champs-Elysees and have this special cheese and a bottle of this red wine, really good red wine. So he got to do that because of Liverpool going to Paris.
Paris is such an amazing city. It really is. You know, but I always say, like, you know, with London, if you take all the Londoners out, you know, London's great. And if you take all the Parisians out, Paris is all right.
Paris.
So you've been a season ticket holder, you know, for a long time, because I want to get into this. With the season ticket, you know, it's tough because you know, I was a season ticket holder for a long time, and then, you know, I moved to the States. But for you were a season ticket holder for a long time, and then you just what happened?
I run my own business as a building contractor, and I'd done work for the Liverpool City Council, and it was called grant work. And people who only had a 2 up and 2 down, and didn't have an inside toilet, they had an outside toilet. They used to get grants on the house, and you'd done put a bathroom up for them and a kitchen extension. Mostly terraced houses, mostly in the Old Swan area, the Irish roads as we call them, Ulster Road and Belfast Road, and these houses. And you always waited for your money off the council, and I was owed something like £24,000, which is about £50,000 in today's. And people who I owed money to wouldn't wait for it. So I was declared insolvent. So that's the first thing that went was my season ticket. And stupidly, I went back 6 months later when I'd sorted everything out and told them the story in the ticket office. And they said, "We'll put you at the back of the queue." It was an 8-year waiting list.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
The chap who I knew said to me, "Why don't you get a job as a turnstile operator?" And I said, "Well, you get to see the game." He said, knowing you'll get to see the game. And he said, "Don't tell anyone I told you that." And that's what I've done. And I worked there for 26 years, 25 years, and I missed 3 or 4 games I didn't see because I used to go and get a seat. Because there's always someone who doesn't turn up for the seat. The story, I sat next to this Irish lady once and she said to me, "That's my friend's seat." And I said, "Oh, sorry, has she gone to the toilet?" She said, "No, she's at home in Dublin with the cold." I said, "Well, she's not coming here, is she?" But I moved away because she went on about it, you know. And another story there was, the chap Howard, who was in charge of the turnstile operators. Remember when we played Chelsea and Pepe Reina saved the penalties in the goal in Anfield, in the European Cup it was. And when I went in on the Saturday after the Wednesday game, the boss of the turnstile operator said to me, "Very well done there, Alan, for getting a seat for Wednesday." I said, "I didn't get a seat, I went straight home." He said, "Did your wife tape the game for you?" I said, "I've got it on tape, yeah." He said, "Well, have a look at half time." He said, and tell me then that you didn't go. And at half time, as Stephen Gerrard goes to take a corner, the camera zooms in and I'm right on the front seat. So I couldn't deny it. He said, "I'm not going to say anything. I'm just saying to you, well done for getting a seat."
Yeah, it must have been great. I mean, because you know it is really hard to get a season ticket now. It's hard to just get a ticket these days. But you know, to still be working, you know, for at Anfield as well and getting to watch these games, just must have been amazing for you.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. And you're getting paid for doing it. That was the good thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, you know, I talked to George Sefton, and you know, he gets paid to do something he loves, you know, and he's been doing that for, you know, 50 plus years as well.
56 years he's been doing it, hasn't he?
Yeah, I know. And I asked him not too long ago, is he going to retire? And he said maybe once Annie Road, you know, the extension, he might pack it in. But I think he'll go for a few more years after that. Yeah, you know, and another staple of Anfield as well, George is.
He's like an institution, isn't he?
He is, because, you know, we've talked as well, and like, you know, the day he does retire, it's going to be pretty weird to hear somebody else, you know, on the tannoy. Like, it really will, like, announcing, you know, the players and everything. It just won't be the same.
No. Well, it broke my heart to retire.
It's what?
It broke my heart to retire from being a steward.
Yeah, I bet. Because, I mean, you know, you get used to, you know, going, and then, you know, you get to meet the match going Reds, you know, and I told your son, I bumped into you quite a few times, you know, I'm sure I said hello, but, you know, hurry to me seat. But you get to know people, because, you know, they come every, you know, home game.
Oh yeah, they come. Loads of people, loads of them used to give me a few bob at Christmas. Get yourself a drink, because I imposed myself on them. when we won the World Cup, the Club World Club Championship, they come up there. I was on the top escalator, and the two stewards, two head stewards at the area where I worked, they put me at the top of this thing every week, every game, and I always thank them for it. But they used to come and give me a few bob. Some of the spectators, get yourself a drink, Alan. And I used to say, "Welcome to Anfield, the home of the world champions." And I used to greet them all, and it's been brilliant. And I want to go back to my two sons are trying to get me a ticket now for the Brighton game, in the same area where I worked, so that I can go and say goodbye to these people. Because as much as they would tell you I've been good for them, they've been good for me.
Oh.
They've been really good for me, and really shook my hand, told me, took photographs. When they take the children, they took photographs of me. The Barcelona game, when we won 4-0, I got back down to the top of the escalator, and my two sons come legging it towards me, and the three of us ended up on the bloody floor. And all the crowd were laughing at all. And it was, I don't know if Keith told you the story. There's 4 lads come from North Wales every week for the home games. They very, very, very rarely miss a game. And they came. And he said to me, "Are you going to Madrid for the final when we play Tottenham?" And I said, "No, I'm not going. It's too far for me now. I'm getting too old for that." And he said, "Oh, you've got to go. You're the lucky charm." And I said, "No, I'm not going. I'm not going." So about 3 games later, I was on when you finished your duty at the top of the escalator, you went on the short staircase and just kept your eye on the crowd and watched the game. And the head steward come up to me and said, "Alan, there's four lads want to see you down below. You go down and see them, and I'll stay up here and take over for you. It'll only be a few minutes." So I went down, and he said, it was the 4 lads from North Wales, and he said to me, "Are you still not going to Madrid?" I said, "No, I've told you I'm not going." He said, "Well, you're bloody well going with us." And they opened the coats, and they all had the T-shirts on with my photograph on. And he said, "These T-shirts are going to Madrid, so you're coming. The lucky charm will be in Madrid." So when the next time I seen him, I said, "The lucky charm worked, didn't it?"
Yeah, you kind of knew it was Liverpool's final to lose, because I was down the pub and I was like, Liverpool aren't going to lose this. Not a chance, And obviously, 2-0. It wasn't the best final I've watched.
No.
But the end result is what we all wanted.
That's the most important thing when you get to a final. No one remembers people who played well and got beat.
Mm-hmm.
You lose the final, you lose face. So you win at all costs. Yeah,
well, I mean, we've lost quite a few finals, so it was our time, and it's nice. But back to being a steward, it must make you just like really, really proud, to kind of be the watchful eye of all these people, in the stadium, and then have people come up to you and just say, "Hey, thanks."
Yeah, well, there's loads of them done that. But the first day, when I finished on the turnstiles, I applied for the steward's job, and I went for the interview to the steward's job, and the young girl interviewed me, and she actually said to me, "Don't you think?" Not in that many ways, but what she was saying was, "Don't you think you're too old?" And I said to her, "Man, the voice of experience. If anything goes wrong and I go up to them, he won't hit me because I'm the old shit. Not that I've hit them back, but I'm too old to be hit. So they will listen to me and listen to the voice of experience." She said, "I've never heard it put so eloquently than that." She said, "You've got the job." And that's it. People respect you. And you earn that respect off them, and they do respect you.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Give respect, get it.
And it was a godsend to me. And the first job I had as a steward, I reported to this, and this head steward took me around, and we were playing Manchester United, and he put me in the pen with the Manchester United supporters. And I thought, this is a bit much, putting an old man here. And this Manchester United supporter at half time spoke to me and said, "But you've seen some bad teams here and some good teams." And I said, "Oh, some good teams, more good than bad. I've seen them all." I said, "Actually, I was in the army with one of your greatest footballers." And he said to me, "Who was he?" I said, "Bobby Charlton." He said, "What was he like as a person?" So I looked away like that as if anyone was listening. And I said to him, "He's an absolute bastard." He said, "Why? What was up?" Because he gets this reputation, doesn't he? And he said, "Why is that?" I said, "Because he was from bloody Manchester."
Yeah.
And then they all come round me, about 10 or 12 of them, and they're all asking me stories about Bobby Charlton. So what I'm saying, the voice of experience was there when I got them all. Could have easily been trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're younger and you're kind of mouthing off a bit, you might get a smack, but the voice of reason probably got you out of that.
Yeah, it got me out of it, and it got them on my side.
They're not all bad.
No.
The proper football fans, which is good.
You've got to respect their achievements.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like quite a number of people will have a go at Fergie, of course, but you've got to respect what he's done for United. just as you know, United fans will respect what Shankly's done and Bob Paisley's done for Liverpool.
Oh yeah, you've got to respect them because they've had some great teams in Old Trafford, haven't they?
Oh yeah,
not as good as Liverpool, but they've had some great teams.
No chance, and we're getting up there too. Yeah, I think we're 2 ahead of them at the moment. In cups. Yeah, I mean they can count all their community shields all they want.
Oh yeah.
But you know, hopefully we'll do well this year and get a few more trophies in the cabinet, and they won't.
They won't. What rubs salt in their wounds is the European Cup.
Oh yeah,
that's the one that sickens them off more than anything. And it's right. And when people say it's the biggest trophy in club football, they're right, because it gets so much publicity and so many people, and it's beamed all over the world. Like you could watch it in Texas, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the build up and everything. Oh, it's fantastic. And that rubs salt in their wounds.
Yeah,
we enjoy rubbing it in the wounds.
Yeah, any time we can rub salt in Man United's, you know, wounds, we will. Or you know, Chelsea or now City. So yeah, no, it's just great to you know, win the European Cup, because you know the Premier League, you know, or First Division back then is our bread and butter, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know, winning the European Cup just shows the rest of the world, like, you know, we're number one. You know, it's an amazing feeling. I hope we win the European Cup this year. I hope we actually get back to Wembley. You know, because we haven't won the FA Cup since 2006. And, you know, and I miss those.
The only thing with winning the European Cup this year, do you know where the final is?
Istanbul.
No.
Right? No?
Moscow.
Of all places.
So, I don't think there'll be many supporters going there.
Yeah.
There might be those going, there might be many coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's some hardcore fans over there. Yeah, it's well, I mean, all you need to do is watch, you know, what happened in the Euros and stuff and World Cup. It was mad. It's just, yeah, different breed, and like, you know, the it's the bad part of football that I don't like. You know, there's no need for it. I mean, you watch grown men hitting each other. It's like, grow up. It's daft.
It's crazy.
Well, you know, you shouldn't get hurt. You know, going to a football match or coming out of a football match, you shouldn't get hurt for wearing your club colours. It needs to be, you know, stamped out. Same with the racism these days. It's just, you know, it's mad coming, and most of it comes from middle-aged men.
Yeah, that's right. It does.
You know, they've got, you know, it's like, would you talk to your child
like that?
The way you're taught, you know, throwing words at somebody on the pitch for being, you know, different skin color? It's yeah, it just makes me sick. But I would also like to say what a proud moment it must have been for you as well. You know, when they made the banner for you.
It's unbelievable, Dana.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I mean, the banner's beautiful. I mean, it is. Look, it's got your pretty face on it.
Yeah, not so pretty. But, I was just made up when I'd seen it. I've got to thank the people and all the people who donated to it, because the chap who made it said he needs £100 to make it. And he got donations of just on £500 of people who were on the escalator, you know, people who knew me from in the ground. So I'm going to donate the extra money to Parkinson's, because that's what I've got, Parkinson's.
Yeah, that's what your son was saying. But I mean, that's amazing to me. Just that the community of Liverpool supporters like will delve into the pockets, you know, whether they really have the money. They'll give what they can. that's what I tell, you know, a lot of people, like, because you always ask me, like, you know, how is Liverpool, like, you know, because I know it's, you know, kind of, they hate the Tories and stuff, and you know what you know, like Thatcherism did to Liverpool, you know, back then, and I say the same thing. Scousers are still the same. They'll do anything for you, you know, put their hand in the pocket and whatever change they got, they'll give you.
Oh no, we haven't changed.
Nah, you know, and they're always like, you know, is it safe in Liverpool? And I just have to laugh. I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're like, well, you know, the silly old story of, like, you know, hubcaps go missing and all that stuff. I'm like, well, hubcaps go missing in every city in the world. It's not just Liverpool, but yeah, Liverpool's a safe city. You know, go over there and enjoy yourself. You know, that's the best thing you can do. Scousers, you know, welcome people with open arms.
Open arms, that's right.
Even Wolves like me from Formby.
You from Formby?
I am, yeah. Yeah, I'm a posh Scouser.
A story about that is, Formby is my brother has learning difficulties, and he lives with my sister and my brother-in-law, and they're the local undertakers.
Oh.
So you can get a free funeral off them. But Phil Neal,
I'll let my sister know.
Phil Neal, they contacted Phil Neal at the club, and they asked him, would he come and see Michael? Could he, you know, my brother with the learning difficulties, and he just knocked on the door one night, because he lives in Formby, Phil Neal.
Mm-hmm.
He just knocked on the door and said, "Is Michael in?" And that was the family club.
See, that's another thing too, is, like, you know, former Liverpool players will do that with no hesitation, and that's why, again, I love this football club, because they're so, you know, they will help out if they can, you know.
It's a family club. They sent me a plaque when I retired with all the players' autographs on it, and the message at the top: "Happy retirement, Alan. You've been missed by all your colleagues, from the members of the playing staff and the rest of the club. Happy retirement." That was brilliant. I'll tell you a story. When I was 70 years old, I had a party in the local club that we go to in Old Swan, and Ron Yates came, because I'd done some work on his house in Formby before he got divorced, Ron Yates, and I'd done some work. I put a bar in his house, and he had a cafe in Old Swan called the Centre Half, and I put some windows in it. So when I was 70, my wife rang up the Ex-Players Association, and they told them the story about me doing work for him, and they're having this party for him. Could Ron come along? And it good enough on the night he came, and he done like an after dinner speech all about Bill Shankly, stories of Bill Shankly. And after he'd done, I bought him a pint, and I said to him, "Who are the two chaps you're with?" And he said, "One's me minder, one's me chauffeur." And I'm looking up at him like that, and, you know, 6'4". So what the hell do you need a minder for? He goes, "It's not going to look nice in the Liverpool Echo. Ron Yates smacks an Evertonian in the nose." And I said to him, "Well, I don't mind paying you, but I'm not paying them two as well." And he put his arms around me and said, "You're not paying me either, Alan." And he done that. He chained up and done that for nothing. And that's why I say it's the family club. Liverpool are the family club, one big happy family.
It is. Yeah, Ron Yates is actually coming over to Vancouver. One of my mates has put on a thing. It's called Cop Connect, and it's a 2-day event in Vancouver, and it's got Ron Yates, Bruce Grobbelaar, and Phil Thompson. Yeah, it's just like a Liverpool fan convention.
So he's well enough to travel over there, because I heard he wasn't too well, Ron.
Who, Ron?
Ron Yates.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm hearing, he's good to go. Yeah, that's the thing too. You know, I heard Phil Neal wasn't so well as well. So yeah, it's sad to hear some some of the players. I mean, we've lost Ian St. John. We lost Sir Roger Hunt. It's like part of history. Is kind of being lost again. That's a reason I do the podcast as well, to tell these stories, to keep these stories going. That's why I'm chuffed to bits that you came on, because
I'm chuffed you asked me.
Because I get to hear the story, and that's what I love. I wish I could go back and listen to what my granddad used to tell me. He used to tell me tons and tons of stories, and I just didn't have time for it. I'd be, I'd want to get outside and play football, or do something with my mates, and my granddad would be like, later on you're gonna want to know these stories, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, granddad. I wish I would have listened, because I've got my stories I can tell my kids. But it's really great to hear like stories like yourself, because you are a fabric of Anfield. You just in the same sentence as George Sefton. People respect you, and that's the biggest thing that I take as well. It's a great feeling, to be respected. So many people, and I hope you tell these stories to as many people as possible, because they need to be heard. It needs to keep going and going and going and going.
And you never get fed up telling them, Dan. I never get fed up telling them.
See, that's even better too, because I know some people, they'll be like, nah, I can't tell that story again. I'm like, why not? It's good.
There's so many memories that you tend to forget them. That one of the other times when Billy Little had a shot at goal, we played Manchester City, by the way, in a replayed FA Cup tie at Anfield on a Wednesday afternoon, because there's no floodlights, so it had to be the Wednesday afternoon. So I just started working at Tin Works, and I took the day off, and I went to the match, and Liverpool equalised in the last minute, made it 2-2, and the referee disallowed the goal and said he blew for the final whistle as the ball was on its way into the net. Have you heard this story before?
Mm-mm. No,
well, that's true. That he blew the whistle as the ball was on its way into the net. He blew for full time, and he had to announce it. Everyone stayed in the ground. There was 50-odd thousand there. Everyone stayed in the ground, waiting for the teams to come out to play extra time. And had to announce over the loudspeakers that the game had been finished in Manchester City's favour, because the referee blew for full time as the ball was flying towards the net. How can he do that? Only Clive Thomas could do that.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
And the story went round that there was a fella played for Manchester City named Roy Paul, and his father-in-law was the referee. I don't believe it myself. That was the story he said.
Yeah, that's wrong.
we used to go to the ground in the school holidays. Me and my mates, we used to go to the ground and get the autographs of the players. And they had a player playing for them named Albert Stubbins. Have you heard of him?
Mm-hmm. I have, actually, yeah.
Albert, he was a great player. And he used to come down twice a week from Newcastle to train at Liverpool. They wouldn't allow it now, would they?
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't allow that now, the way they climbed and they have the monitors on them and everything. And he used to come and to get his autograph, it was the cream. You couldn't get Albert Stubbins. And I was getting this autograph off of Roy Saunders. What was this? The centre forward who played for us, Saunders. Dean Saunders. You remember Dean Saunders playing for us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
Well, it was his dad, was Roy Saunders, who played for us at left. He played left half, as they called it then. Left side of midfield, as they say now. We played left half. And Roy Saunders, I was getting his autograph when all my mates shouted, "Here's Albert Stubbins." So I said, "Hurry up, here's Albert Stubbins." So he signed my book, and I liked it. Didn't get Albert Stubbins' book. Opened my book, and he signed Charlie Chaplin. So the next time I seen him, I said, "You signed in my book, Charlie Chaplin." And he started laughing and said, "Well, all you wanted was Albert Stubbins' autograph." I said, "Yeah, but my dad said you play like Charlie Chaplin." And he cuffed me down here. But what they used to do then, Darren, was they used to run. They used to jog from Anfield. They go to Anfield and get trained and changed into the... And then they would jog to Melwood.
Mm-hmm.
All the kids would jog after them. So there'd be all the players in the front and all the kids at the back jogging. About 100 kids jogging after them.
I think that's what I really miss about Melwood as well, you know, because you used to like jump on the wheelie bins.
Yeah.
Able to watch them train. Now they're at Kirby, you know, it's totally different. You can't really get close to them anymore. How do you see like the biggest change in football, you know, since back like, you know, in the 50s?
I think the fact that all the standing stopped. And I was all for it when because I'm a survivor of Hillsborough.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went to Hillsborough, the year before the semi-final, in the semi-final, we played exactly the same team the year before, as you know. We played Nottingham Forest. And we went the next year and played Nottingham Forest again. And that was, we went into the pen where all the people died in the pen. And I'm a very superstitious person. I've got to wear black socks when the Liverpool play at home. I've just got to wear a pair of black socks. And when we went into the pen, I said to my eldest son, who was with me then, it was about 5 of us. We used to go away in my van. It was about 6 or 8 of us in the van going to Sheffield for the semi-final. And when we went in that pen where they all died, I said to my eldest son, we were in the pen at the end last year and we won 3-1. Come on. And he said to me, "Dad, you and your bloody superstition." I said, "Come on, we'll go." We went, and in that pen, Darren, you could sit down on the concrete steps.
Mm-hmm.
That much room in it. And the other pen, as you know, where they all died, was just chock-a-block with people. And that was because they didn't close the gates, but I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, you know...
Only for my superstitions, we could have, I'm not saying we would have died, but we would have been in that pen. Only for my superstitions, and we come out.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing about the question you've asked me is the fact that the no standing, all the season coming.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, they're going to bring in safe standing, which is all well and good, because they will make it safe standing to get it passed in a court of law.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be totally
like I've been wrapped around them sign things on the car, bent over on the iron like that.
Yeah,
standing on top of me.
Yeah, I got smashed into those so many times. Yeah, I mean, it does hurt, you know.
The old stage forward when they were looking to the opposite corner.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, back to fun.
Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about your famous little white. Was it white? Is it a white van?
Yeah, no, red van.
Oh, red van for Liverpool. Yeah. I think it's great too because I used to go to play football all over the place, and my mate's dad had a work van as well, and we'd all chuck in there and go play footy. Same for you, right? It's basically your work van with all your crap in the back, and then everybody just jumps in the back.
We used to take all the crap out the back and put it in the hole. Josie, my wife, used to go mad when all the builders things, pickaxes and spades and everything. So we've got to make room for the supporters. And I was asked a question once. I said, "How did you go on? Did you have to stop all the time for toilets?" I said, "No, we had the toilets in the back of the van. Did you fit a toilet? So we had a funnel going into a hose pipe, hanging out the back of the van. So you could trailers from Liverpool to Wembley. And every time we went to Wembley, we always went to the same social club. There was a Pakistani social club, and they used to save us a parking spec every year because there was 10 of us in the van. We give them a £5 each. So we got 50 quid for saving it. It was made up. It was the same parking place, and it was about 2 minutes walk from Wembley. It was brilliant.
I'll tell you what, I couldn't imagine, like, if you did still have the pickaxes in the back of your van and you're getting out the van with all the lads, you know, and then the opposing fans are like, oh man, they mean business. So good job you left it at home.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, it's been an absolute pleasure for me.
To meet you, Darren.
I'm very honoured.
Thank you very much.
Oh no! I'm the one that should be saying thank you. And like I said, like, I love the stories, and I'm sure you've got plenty more. And I'll probably ask Keith again for you to come back on. You know, maybe in a few more months and tell us a few more stories. So I'll leave you with this. What's your predictions for this season?
I think we're going to win the league.
Good man. Yeah.
Win the league.
I do too. I just think if we can, you know, somewhat stay healthy, I mean, you know, our best 11 can beat anybody in the world.
I put it down as well, Darren. So we have got one of the only true world class players in the English Premiership in Mo Salah.
Yeah,
he's truly world class. That goal yesterday was outstanding.
Yeah,
I've watched 10 or 12 times already, and I'll watch it later on. just the ball, when the camera zooms in on his feet and the ball control off and the way he rolls the ball, it's world class.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Pep said, like, I don't know how he did that.
No.
And it reminded me though of the goal he scored against Spurs.
Yeah, that's right. They said that.
And that ended up 2-2 as well. When I remember when Lamella went down like a sack of you know what, and Virgil didn't even touch him. But I think, you know, we have every right to win the league this season. You know, everybody's going on about Chelsea. I think Chelsea will falter. I do. They won the European Cup, you know, but that to me last season was a bit of a throwaway, you know.
City should have won it. They were the best team. Over the season, they were the best team.
Yeah, exactly.
Chelsea just done a job on them, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, same, you know, there wasn't that many fans. I think they had 10,000 watching it. The massive difference, you know, especially for us as well at Anfield, when you have, you know, 40,000+ Liverpool fans, you know, it makes a difference. And it showed last season when football last season just had no soul. I could really give a toss about watching, because, you know, I'm a football fan as well, and, you know, I like watching matches. Last season, if Liverpool weren't playing, I just wouldn't watch the telly. It was just like, it's just
not the same excitement.
No, it's not. You know, and you know, it was great to see everybody, you know, back in the stands. You know, during this crazy pandemic that, you know, we're all living through. You know, it's a different life now. You know, have to look out for one another, you know, make sure each person's safe and all that good stuff. But again, you know, been an absolute pleasure. I'm well happy. I know Steve, my co-host, really wanted to come on, but he had a work meeting he had to do, so he'll just have to listen to me and you.
Let me tell you one story. When we went to, I told you we went to Wembley every season. I used to take my brother who has learning difficulties. I used to take him to the League Cup final and the Charity Shields, especially because you could get tickets for them games easier. But we used to go to the same pub every year in Harrow on the Hill, the Red Line in Harrow on the Hill. We used to go there. And we were driving from the pub. We left the pub at 2:30. So this is what I'm telling you, when we would park up dead easy because they saved us a parking place. We drove in that half an hour. We'd get in the ground 10 minutes before the kick-off. And we were in Harrow on the Hill. And as we went through the town centre in Harrow on the Hill, right in the middle of the shopping centre was a church. And when we were driving through, we used to put the tapes on, the 60s tapes, all the Beatles songs and all that. And Mick Jagger was on singing, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. And the bride and the groom were on the bottom of the stairs going into the church, getting the wedding photographs taken. And I turned the engine off, took the keys out, because I knew they'd bugger off without me with the keys. Took the keys out, and I run up to this, because this was ballooning all over the place. We had the van windows down, and I can't get no satisfaction. And I run up to the groom and I said to him, I hope you get some satisfaction tonight, mate. And run back and got in the car. And all the people who were going to the wedding, they all clapped us. The stories like that. Did Keith tell you I got dressed up as Mickey Mouse one day?
Oh.
Didn't he? We used to call it the Mickey Mouse Cup, the League Cup. And I got dressed up as a full outfit of Mickey Mouse. And when we stopped, we went from Harrow on the Hill. We were going through this little wooded area, and they were all dying for the toilet. And I stopped the car, and I wasn't driving that day. We're in. My mate at the time was a site agent, and he borrowed a minibus off one of the subcontractors, and he'd taken us, and we were all dying to go to the toilet. So we run into the woods to go to the toilet. Of course, with me being in a suit, it took me 5 or 10 minutes longer to get it out and have a wee. And they buggered off without me. They drove away in the minibus without me. And I thumbed the lift. And a guy stopped and he said, only the Scousers could do this. Mickey Mouse standing there in front of him in the lift to the mat. And I took the head off and took down when they got past the minibus had stopped about a mile down the road waiting to see where I was. And we went past and I just walked up behind him and said, come on, are we going to the match you want? How did you get there? But someone took the head off. When I took the head off in the match and I put it back on at half time, and someone took it off me and threw it down the crowd. And I went after it. And I ended up right at the front at Wembley. And this lad had hold of the Mickey Mouse head. There was a £32 deposit on it, which I would have lost. So there's no way I was letting it go. And the lad who had it, he had hold of it. And he lives on the corner of our road now. And he goes to the Parkinson's meetings with me. He's got Parkinson's. And he said to me, I just knew that it'd be you coming down for this ass, coming down for this head. I knew it'd be you. But we all went with Mickey Mouse masks on, and I had the full Mickey Mouse suit. That was brilliant.
I can't imagine like driving by and I see Mickey Mouse like going for the piss.
And then some in the lift.
Yeah, you probably
where are you going? I said Florida.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't get picked up now.
No.
Not these days. Well, Alan, again,